The next set is on the communications, where we said SALT, smile, answer, listen, and think. Let's go one by one onto this. Smile, very, very simple. You must have read about this. You must have heard about this. And I'll share an example with you. For example, if you are on a train station, you are there and you have an inquiry. You want to ask about a timetable or about a train or something, and there are two people standing there. They are in the uniform to help, and one person is frowning and looks very angry, and the other person is a smiling chap. Now I ask you, who would you go to ask your question? Who is more approachable? Yes, I guess the guy who is smiling is more approachable. You would like to go and ask that person your question. So that talks about your approachable personality, and hence smile is very, very important. It not only shows your positive attitude, but it also shows that you are approachable, and that is very important, because I know you guys are good, you guys mean well, and you guys are talented, but you also have to showcase that you have that attitude and you are approachable, and people can ask you questions, people can challenge your answers, and that gives a very, very good ground to build that rapport, which is very important. And finally, for yourself, since you are sitting in an interview, it is a very good antidote to nervousness. You will be nervous. I am also nervous when I'm meeting CEOs and CPOs, and there are meetings and deals that have to be done. Nervousness is a sign that you are prepared and you are expecting a good result, and that is not bad. Even the Olympians, they are nervous before the race starts. They are at the starting lineup. It is, in a sense, a good sign, but let it not be overwhelming. So smile helps as an antidote. And as I said, why you should smile? When I say smile, you should not grin, open your teeth and show all your 32 teeth. No, that's not the case. Smile being a pleasing personality. You're just smiling, you are happy with yourself, you have thought through about your interview, you have pictured yourself sitting in an interview and answering all the questions, you are comfortable with the subject, you are comfortable with answering the questions, you have practiced all of these personal skills, and you have played in your mind that it's going to happen in a way that you have imagined it's going to be good, and just a smile will come onto your face. Think about something good that has happened in your life, something that you're really proud of. Think about your strengths, and a smile, a genuine smile will come across your face, and that will show your pleasing personality. Next is answer. Very important. You are in an interview where you'll be asked questions. People will want to know about what is your knowledge on that particular subject, what your experience has been, what projects you have worked upon. So answering is very, very important. So how would you do that? My suggestion is listen, think, structure the response, and then respond. Quite a lot of times people listen to the question halfway through and they just start responding to the answer. Now there is no race to give an answer in 10 seconds time. You're not giving any extra points for that. But the interviewer would be more pleased if you have listened to his or her question, you have thought for a few seconds, and in your mind you have structured how would you like to address that particular question, and then you respond. So for example, if I say there is a question that is asked to you, and this could be related to a technical question, and the interviewer says, okay, what do you understand by SDLC, or what we call as the software development life cycle? So once you have listened to this question, the idea is you think, and then you structure that. What all do you know about SDLC, and can you structure it in a certain format that you can answer it to them in points, which is easy to convey, rather than giving long answers in paragraphs and sentences that sometimes doesn't sit well with the interviewer. So if you say, for example, what I understand about SDLC is it's an acronym for software development life cycle, and there are various ways to actually implement it. It could be either waterfall or agile, and in agile you have got other methods of Scrum and Kanban, and thirdly, it depends upon the project and the duration and the type of the project that we decide which particular software development lifecycle method is going to be used. So you have displayed your awareness, your knowledge, and you're given it in a points-based system so that people understand, okay, I've got 3 points on this. I understand about the 3 pros of this particular process, or if somebody asks, okay, what are the negatives of this particular situation, then you say, I can think of 2 negative points, and that's how you structure your answer, and it lands well with the interviewer. And finally, there's another approach that I can share with you, is called the STAR approach. For example, if you have given a case study, or you have been given a situation that what will happen if you are in this situation where you have to do some conflict resolution, or they ask a question that you are in a university project project, and did you have to do any conflict resolution with your team members or your professor on a certain point? And the best way to answer that kind of a situational question is you take a STAR approach, where S stands for situation, T is task, A is action, and R is result. So in your mind, again, the first step, as I said over here, you listen to the question, you think, and when you are structuring, you think what was the situation in your project, then what was the task that was at hand, then what was the action that you took, and based on the action, what was the result that you got. So based on the STAR approach, you would be able to answer any of these situational questions. And doing all of this, listening, thinking, and having a structure to respond, giving a points-based answer, thinking from a STAR approach, what all of this helps you in the answering is it displays your subject knowledge, which is very important, a key part of doing the interview actually. Next, I can't stress enough how important this is, listening. And when I say listen, it's really listening and not hearing. What happens is people are anxious or they are nervous and they want to give their best impression in their meeting with the interviewer. They want to showcase their subject knowledge. So when the interviewer asks a question and if you know the answer, sometimes people just jump to answer that question just to show that they know the answer to that question, rather than letting the interviewer actually finish or actually listening to what the person is saying, and you do not preconceive a question and answer what you think was the question for. So the thing is, you listen, and you listen fully, you listen properly, and then you structure your response and then respond. Now, why this is important is you need to really understand the other's viewpoint. Now, when the interviewer is asking you questions, they are not just answering you questions to get your subject knowledge. They might be a human resource person sitting in an interview, or there might be some other person who just does not know anything about technology and is asking you technological questions. And this has happened with me in my campus interview many years ago. Later on, I got to find that person was the head of HR, but he was asking me questions on C and C++. Now, what I understand that person was trying to do was he was challenging me on my answers, and what he was actually judging me on was I really able to understand his viewpoint? Can I really listen what that person is saying and then structure my response based on that? And hence that becomes very important. And finally, it helps you give relevant answers, because the question might sound similar, but if the interviewer has asked something very specific and the meaning of that question has changed just because he or she has used a couple of words in the question, and if you miss listening to that, you might be answering a totally wrong question. So it also helps you give the relevant answer. At the end of the day, what it means, what it shows is that you're attentive. You give the person in front of you chance to speak and talk, which is very important. And most importantly, it shows your attention to detail. Think. The next point talks about how you will actually think during the interview. Now, you might have to think on the fly. Some things might be asked that you're not prepared for. You have not prepared your answers for it. And that could be the case, but you should not be worried about it. Don't be nervous. If you have practiced all these personal skills, if you know the subject knowledge, if you have revised your project experience, etc., and if you follow the other personal skills which I have just spoken to you about, that you listen, when you're listening to the questions very attentively, then you're able to structure the answer, then take all the inputs that you have from the interviewer while you are listening. And once you have done that, analyze those inputs in your mind and then find the solution options and give a response to that. If you already know the answer, that's great. You can structure it and respond it in a way. But if something comes out of the blue that you're not aware of, I would say think, and you will not be penalized if you say, can I think for a minute? Can I think for 30 seconds and let me get back to you? And this would be a very good point where you can take out your pen and paper and you can think on the paper. You will not be penalized for that. This is a good sign that you think, that you can think on the fly. If any challenge is thrown at you, you are brave enough to pick up that challenge and then present solution. Most of the cases, if this has happened, the person who has asked this question, he is not very much interested in the correct answer. That person is interested, how do you deal with this situation? How do you deal with this question? How do you deal with this challenge? How do you deal with this particular instance where you are not aware of the answer? Because in the corporate world, in your project, when you join the company, you will not know everything. You will have to think on the fly. You will have to find out solutions for things that you do not know. So this question, this instance would be to see, as a person, how do you react to that situation? How do you find solutions? How can you think on the fly?